We appreciate the tunes for Club Copilot. Who's ready to get the party started? Thank you, first and foremost, for taking your time to join us today. We do know that Ignite is an absolutely jam-packed event. So today, we're going to talk through some actionable things that you can take forward about all the incredible stuff that you're learning from the keynotes and the sessions that you've been to already. I am Brittan Trembley. I'm the Global Director of Modern Work and Microsoft Security at PAX 8.
My name is Scott Fox. I'm the AI Innovation Program Director for all things Microsoft at PAX 8.
And we know that time is of the essence, so we'll go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to first discuss the opportunity at hand for all partners looking into the era of AI. Unlike a few short years ago, AI is now a practical, indispensable tool in everyday work for the SMB. Being ready for AI and adopting it early is mission critical for staying competitive and unlocking new value streams. Microsoft's 2025 Work Trend Index reports that SMBs can see up to a 353% ROI within 3 years of adopting M365 Copilot. Even at the low end, the ROI is still significant, 132%, proving that AI investments pay off for businesses of all sizes. By a show of hands, how many of you are already using Copilot in your daily work? All right, love to see it. So let's explore why Microsoft Copilot is the right platform to help both you and your customers realize these transformative benefits. Microsoft Copilot delivers a unified and familiar AI experience across the Microsoft 365 suite. A consistent interface makes it easy to adopt and integrate. Copilot is embedded directly in the tools that millions of people use every day: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Teams. And this seamless integration means that users don't have to step away from the work at hand. Copilot is not just a chat tool. It's a platform for building and deploying AI-powered agents. Organizations can extend Copilot's capabilities to fit their unique business needs with low-code tools and pre-built agents. Enterprise-grade security means businesses can trust that their data is protected and that Copilot meets rigorous regulatory standards. Copilot offers flexible options like yesterday's announcement of M365 Copilot Business, meeting the SMB customer demand. And last, but certainly not least, Copilot provides tools to measure AI's impact and business value, helping track ROI and optimize AI investments. So let's talk about the journey that starts it all. The Copilot journey. Microsoft Copilot is not a single product, but a family of solutions designed to meet different business needs and user scenarios. Copilot Chat is a secure AI-powered chat experience grounded in GPT-5 and the web that serves as an entry point for AI adoption. Microsoft 365 Copilot is an AI-powered assistant for work that's directly embedded into the Microsoft 365 apps you already use every day. And this integration means users don't have to learn new tools. Copilot is available where they're already working, driving productivity and efficiency. Microsoft Copilot Studio is a low-code platform for building custom AI-powered agents. Copilot Studio can deploy pre-built or custom agents that automate workflows, answer questions, and deliver business value. All Copilot products are designed with enterprise-grade security, privacy, and compliance in mind. Copilot's flexibility means that businesses can start with chat and agents and then expand to full Microsoft 365 integration as your users' needs evolve. No matter where you are on your AI journey, there's a Copilot to help you scale, automate, and innovate. So let's talk about scale. As businesses navigate the adoption curve at their own pace, they can customize their AI transformation through the available offerings of Copilot Chat, M365 Copilot Business, and M365 Copilot Enterprise. This approach allows users to develop the new competencies required in the AI era and experience the value of Copilot chat and outcome-driven agents before expanding into M365 Copilot. Copilot chat is ideal for users just starting with AI as it provides immediate value and helps build confidence in AI-driven workflows. M365 Copilot is suited for users ready to scale AI across their Microsoft Graph to support them in more complex scenarios and business processes. Watch them adopt. AI readiness is about prepping both your organization and your customers to fully leverage AI capabilities. Readiness includes not just technology, but also people, processes, and governance. Business enablement is about aligning AI initiatives with business goals, consulting on outcomes, preparing for capabilities, and setting expectations for their adoption plan. Technical transformation includes the foundations needed for successful Copilot deployment, like cloud migration, identity access, and data governance. Microsoft has recently released new security tools for Business Premium, like Purview Suite and Defender Suite, to support you in building these foundational needs. Lastly, accelerating adoption. Do this with Copilot champions that provide feedback throughout your pilot project. Build business buy-in through monitoring progress and outlining scenarios where the ROI is already being realized. Think about your users on their AI journey and which of these pillars, adoption, enablement, or technical transformation, needs the most focus. Many of your customers are standing right at the precipice of their AI journey, and leading that journey means guiding both people and technology through this change. That success comes from a holistic approach. Implementation is not just about deploying technology, but about orchestrating change across an organization. This journey includes preparing, onboarding, delivering impact, and then extending and optimizing Copilot's use. So let's explore a framework that outlines this process more explicitly. The Copilot Implementation Framework is a structured approach to successfully deploy Copilot in any organization. The framework covers both user enablement and technical readiness, ensuring a holistic transformation. It's equally important to prepare the users of an organization through identifying a success team to feedback with throughout the process, providing training, measuring impact, and reporting on high-value use case scenarios is important as you scale. Technical readiness ensures that the environment itself is prepared for adoption by ensuring data security, governance, and identity access controls are in place. This leadership across both fronts is critical for guiding transformation towards your customer's desired outcome. By now, I'm sure you're asking, how do I take this to my customer? So let's talk offers. Paying off the tech debt means acknowledging and aligning the existing capabilities to prepare for AI integration. Centralizing on cloud identity, delivering that single point of understanding of what's happening in the environment, and a single point of control for hard authentication. Migrating to modern tools, utilizing modern infrastructure, SaaS and PaaS, to make your data accessible and useful for AI. This can be API-centric applications. This can be platform-based databases or data warehouses through which AI can see the data. And native AI capabilities shine in cloud modernization. Also, removing outdated or legacy platforms drives down overhead and creates a cohesive cloud-based environment. Services, not just products, are the true value drivers for intelligent providers in the era of AI. Guiding customers and servicing their environments to be ready for Copilot and advanced AI is where the largest business opportunity truly lies. Things like helping clients understand their business's data, assessing where the data lives, how it's used, and what needs to change. Implementing technical and administrative controls with Microsoft Security, and providing ongoing support, scheduled assessments, policy reviews that ensure that users remain secure and compliant as they scale. And if you aren't doing so already, now is the time to think about how you can expand your service offering to support your customers' AI transformation. Here are some great examples of services that our partners are using to drive successful adoption. Cyber hygiene, or surfacing the debt, ensures that the customer is up to the security baselines that are necessary for safe AI adoption. Implementing solutions we've discussed, like M365 Business Premium, M365 E5, and security suites like Purview and Defender. Then paying that debt means modernizing those legacy systems so that AI can leverage the data and deliver results, like migrating to cloud platforms to ensure that the data is accessible. And lastly, data governance, ensuring that AI won't answer the right questions for the wrong people. It's important to implement both administrative controls like policy consulting and technical controls, such as Purview data loss prevention. These types of services are foundational for successful AI adoption. And as we move into the more advanced tools available when incorporating agents, I'd like you all to ask yourself, which of these service areas do I see as the biggest opportunity for my customers? Are you ready to take us a step further?
Yeah, thank you, Brittan. All right, how are we doing on time? Timer didn't start. That's a good start to this part. Okay, so let's talk about agents. Show of hands, who's actually building agents either for yourself or for your customers right now? That's a good showing, yeah. It's more than I expected. So, Brittan's presentation, we were talking about getting sort of the foundation right, making sure customers have the right infrastructure and security posture. Now we're going to talk about agents, and here's what I want to cover in our chunk of time together. We're going to take a quick moment, sort of ground in what agents are and why they should matter for your business and your customer's business. And then more importantly, how you can build something more repeatable around this, right? A strategy to go to market again and again. Because that's really the opportunity here. Not just one-off projects that you reinvent every time, but a systematic approach to building agents that you can take to market. Think of this as moving from helping customers use AI tools to actually building intelligent systems. Okay, first, like I said, quick grounding. We're going to talk about just types of agents. Right, at the simplest end, you've got the retrieval agents, basically intelligent interfaces for your data. It's not making decisions, it's servicing what information someone needs to make their own. Dramatically better search, but connected to your business systems. Then you've got task or workflow agents, right? This is where things start to get a little interesting. They don't just retrieve information, they take action. So inventory hits a certain threshold, the agent reorders it, right? An employee submits a standard HR request, the agent processes it. They are following defined workflows, but they're doing it autonomously within guardrails. Now, at the most sophisticated end, autonomous. These can make complex decisions, adapt based on what they learn, or manage entire processes. Imagine, say, a monitoring agent that's looking at your cloud infrastructure. It's taking optimization opportunities, evaluating them, and executing, right? Now, here's the thing with these agents. These are all neat categories, but an agent can transcend all three, or you can start with one and build it into others, right? But I think it's important to just ground it in these type of categories as you're sort of scoping your agents and setting your expectations with your customers, right? And again, you can always start simple and then build more sophisticated. So why does this actually matter, right? We all know they're more than chatbots, right? And data is showing that it's driving up productivity, right? We're seeing SMBs achieve up to 40% productivity improvements. But more importantly, it's not just about doing things faster, It's freeing up people to do work that actually requires human judgment and creativity. That's the real unlock, right? Not just, you've done 40% more work, but now you can actually drive much more focus on things that agents can't do. So for you as the partner, this is about differentiation. Here's what I mean by that. Right now, there's a lot of MSPs that can keep the lights on, right? Or manage infrastructure, handle security. That skill set is valuable, but in a lot of ways, it's been commoditized, and it's leading to a race to the bottom on pricing. What agents let you do is change this conversation entirely. You're no longer preventing problems. You're actively driving business outcomes, right? You're not competing on price for commodity services. You're delivering measurable value that's hard to replicate. And critically, if you're building custom agents, you're building solutions that have your IP and your domain expertise baked into them. That moves you from a vendor to a strategic partner for your customers. It's a very different relationship, and has very different economics. So I want to show you guys how this plays out in practice. This slide shows the shift from a traditional MSP example to what we're calling the managed intelligence provider. Right? On the left, you see the traditional sort of MSP setup. Some of you might do more, right? But there's nothing wrong with this. Managing infrastructure, keeping systems running, providing support, it's all valuable work. It's still necessary. But look at what changes on the right. The focus shifts from managing systems to orchestrating intelligence. You're not delivering technology anymore. You're delivering business outcomes. Instead of selling your customer a software suite, you're selling them a 20% reduction in invoice processing. It's a fundamentally different value proposition. Your approach changes from more reactive or proactive maintenance to strategic consulting. And the expertise expands. You're not abandoning your technical chops, but you're adding business process optimization, AI implementation, and governance frameworks on top of that foundation. Some of you, actually it seems like a lot of you are already building agents, so you're already probably operating partially in this model, right? Even if you're not calling yourself a managed intelligence provider. But maybe you're automating workflows as well on top of building agents or building custom solutions beyond basic IT management. But what we're talking about here is making this change intentional and systematic. So the traditional MSP skills don't go away. They're still the foundation. But you're adding a new layer on top of that that transforms your business model and your margins. Okay, so for those that haven't started, let's talk about where do you start, or for those that have, right? This all sounds great in theory. You want to start building Copilot Studio Lite or Copilot Studio full agents or using AI Foundry, but where do you actually start with this? The answer is actually pretty straightforward. Every business has 3 core business drivers. They either want to increase their revenue, reduce their risk, or improve efficiency. When you're building an agent, you need to tie it to at least one of those, right? Which team in your customer's organization is underwater? Where are they doing repetitive manual work? What process is slow enough that it's actually costing them deals or customers? If you don't know this, here's a simple way to find this out. Just ask them, right? Next time you talk to them, ask them if you could eliminate one bottleneck in your business tomorrow, what would it be? Whatever they answer is probably a good place to start when you're looking for opportunities here. Okay, now we've sort of grounded, right? Well, let's talk execution. How do you actually go about this in a way that's repeatable and profitable, right? We're talking about bespoke agents, right? By nature, they're going to be a little unique. But what I'm going to walk through next is sort of a high-level framework that successful partners are using. We'll cover sort of a transformation approach, the discovery process you can charge for, implementation principles, and governance. And then we'll talk about some monetization models. Think of this as sort of an overall high-level playbook, practical strategies you can start applying with your next conversation. So here's the most important principle I can share with you when you talk about moving to an intelligence provider, right? This overall is about business transformation, not technology deployment. Sounds obvious, right? But I see partners getting this wrong all the time. They're getting excited about the technology, and trust me, it is exciting. But then they're leading with features, not outcomes. I think that's a tech person thing, right? Get excited about it. But truly, your customer, doesn't care about your agent's capabilities in the abstract, right? They care about the problem it's solving. So the high-level framework of going about transformation is this: surface the debt, clear the debt, embed intelligence. So what does that actually mean, right? Sounds pretty easy. But surface the debt means you're going into your customer's environment and you're finding hidden inefficiencies. Every business has process debt. Things that used to make sense but got clunky over time, manual workarounds that became permanent. You need to map those. Clear the debt means taking what you found and identifying which of those workflows are actually repetitive, expensive, or slow enough to be worth automating. And key point here too, not everything that you find needs an AI solution or an agent solution. You should be reviewing these for the right solution. Don't just slap AI on any problem you find, right? Don't square peg, round hole. And then finally, once you've identified what you want to do, embed intelligence. Now you're deploying agents to measurable outcomes. Now, when you're going down this path, if you haven't started, there's two real paths to do this. One, customer zero. Start building agents for yourself internally. This will give you credibility. You can literally show your customers what you've built, what value you're getting out of it, and you'll learn adoption timelines and integration challenges without charging your customer yet. Path two is a client-first discovery, right? This is where you're going to walk them through the structured discovery process, which we'll talk about next. But you're doing an assessment, identify opportunities, and build from there. Both paths work, but a key principle you'll hear me say a couple more times here as you're building agents is focus on one high-impact outcome first, right? One workflow, one department, one clear win. Prove it first. Show value, then expand. That approach sets you up for success and then builds momentum, right? So let's talk about discovery. This is where I think you can really start generating revenue before you've actually built anything. I've talked to many partners, and often it kind of seems like they think of discovery as a necessary evil, right? Something you do before you get to the real work. I think that's a mistake, especially with AI agents. Discovery is valuable consulting work, and you should treat it that way. So here's how this works in 3 phases. First, an AI readiness assessment. You might have already done one for this when you're talking about just M365 Copilot, but we're looking at agents and process debt now, right? So if you haven't already done it, you're doing this as a second one. You go into your client's environment and do a diagnostic. Where are they today? What manual processes? Where are the bottlenecks? Is there already some shadow AI or automations happening that nobody's tracking? Your delivery here is a process map with an opportunity scorecard. Oftentimes, this will be a fixed fee diagnostic engagement, right? You're getting paid for the expertise in identifying opportunities. This assessment gives them clarity on opportunities for investment, which makes your next conversation much easier. So moving on to the second phase, it's a business vision workshop. You sit down with your customer's leadership and map AI opportunities to their strategic goals. You're giving them a roadmap here, and it's something you can charge for as paid consulting to your customers, because you're not just planning with them. You're providing strategic guidance that shapes their direction as a company. Then finally, use case prioritization and pilot, right? You're evaluating each opportunity. You're looking at value, feasibility, data readiness, and risk. Again, select one high confidence project when you're starting with them. This will, again, set you up for success. But from there, you're giving them that first step, which will help avoid, analysis paralysis with your customer. Choose it for them if you can. Once you've done that, you're moving into a pilot scenario. Scope out the first project in detail, design the solution, deploy a proof of concept with measurable KPIs. This is often where the longer-term engagement begins. So the beauty of this approach, right, is that you're getting paid at every step, you're building trust and credibility, and you're setting the foundation for a successful implementation. It's not just good business for you. It's going to actually lead to better outcomes because you've done the upfront work properly. Okay, once you're building, there's 4 key principles I want to highlight. Start small. I know, I keep repeating it, but I think it's worth it. I was guilty of this too when I started building agents, immediately trying to build the super agent that does everything. It's not going to work, right? So attack the easy to automate processes first. You can always expand later. Build governance in from day one. Don't bolt this on later. Things like role-based access control, audit trails, monitoring, everything your agent does should be tracked. It's not just about checking compliance boxes. It's about building trust and credibility with your customer. Iterate with feedback. I think we all kind of know this when you're building agents, but the key point I want to make here is your first version is probably not going to be perfect. That's fine, right? Don't try and account for every edge case scenario when you deploy the first round. Get it into the hands of your customers, find out what they say, what they struggle with, right? And then use data to refine your prompts, update your knowledge bases, and add capabilities. Treat it like a product that evolves based on user needs. And finally, templatize as much as you can. So as you build your agents, save the components that you can as part of that agent. Maybe not sensitive data, right? But a workflow that works, right? A specific prompt. Save that all. These become your reusable building blocks. Over time, you build an agent factory. It's a library of your components that make each project faster and more profitable while you're building valuable IP for your company. Right? So the mantra here is simple. Start small, ship fast, measure, expand. Okay, I want to take a quick step here, take a minute to talk about why we think governance matters so much. Because this is, sort of make or break on a good agent deployment. The reason why we're talking about this and highlighting this is that unmanaged agents can genuinely be dangerous, right? Without proper controls, an agent can expose sensitive data, make unauthorized changes, introduce vulnerabilities directly into business workflows. And when something goes wrong, and eventually it will, it's not just a technical problem. That's a trust problem. And if you lose your customer's trust, or they lose trust in your solution, it's going to be very hard to rebuild that. So governance isn't optional. Don't add it later. Build it in from the start. There's 3 layers here. I don't want to just read off all of these at you, but let's talk about each one sort of higher level. Security and compliance means from day one, you know what compliance policies or security protocols you need to be following. It should be part of your discovery. Don't find out later. This will vary from customer to customer or agent to agent based on what the agent is doing or what customer's industry is, but you should know this from day one and build it in. Next is monitoring and transparency. So things like performance dashboards, right? Let the customer know what's going on with your agent. How is it performing, right? What's the ROI if you can? If you can't build the dashboard for them, send them frequent updates, whether it's once a week, once a month. Build an agent that sends the updates, but you should give them insight into how this is performing. It's important. It builds trust, again. And then from there, we'll talk about operational integrity. What do we really mean by that, right? It's uptime, resilience, proactive issue resolution, but more importantly, the agent needs to be as dependable as any other mission-critical system that you deployed for them, you manage for them, whatever, because that's what it is, right? So these 3 as a whole kind of constitute great governance here. Now, what we're talking about is taking, bad governance can be a risk, but great governance is a competitive advantage for you when you're building agents, right? It's what's going to separate a professional implementation from someone who's just spinning up AI and hoping for the best. Okay, so let's talk about business models, right? You're building valuable solutions. How do you capture that value? If you're building agent solutions but pricing them just like a traditional IT project, you're probably leaving money on the table. The value you're delivering here is different. Your pricing model should reflect that. So there's several models that work well for AI solutions and agents, but the good news is you can mix and match based on what makes sense. And I'm going to go through 6 here that I think are relevant, but there are others out there, and they're likely more to develop over time, right? We're still at a frontier of this. So this is not to say these are the only models available, just ones that we think are good. So first, outcome-based pricing. You're tying your fees directly to the results the AI delivers. Maybe it's per lead generated, per hour saved, per transaction processed, but the appeal here is alignment. You get paid when the customer gets value. Now, this does require having a very clear, measurable outcome, but when that is available, this can command premium pricing because whatever the cost is should be delivering more than that in value to your customer, and the risk is low for them. The next is subscription bundles, right? This is where you're packaging AI capabilities or tools, anything like that, right, into sort of a bundle. Think of this as just like SaaS. The customer pays per user, per month for an access to those set of tools and ongoing updates. It's predictable revenue for you, and it's an operational expense for the customer. AI as a service is where you're operating the AI solutions for the customer on an ongoing basis. You're not just building it and handing it over. You're managing, monitoring, tuning, and improving it continuously. Right? That's that iterate with feedback when you're deploying agents. The customer pays you regularly to keep the AI running and delivering value. Very similar to managed IT services, focused specifically on their AI capabilities. Okay, a few more models to consider here. Agent licensing and resell. If you build an agent that's broadly useful, say a vertical specific solution for healthcare or legal, you can license it to multiple of your customers, right? You might charge per license or per usage, and then you can also list it on platforms like our forthcoming PAX 8 agent store, go GA next year in the first half. But that'll help you distribute it beyond your direct customer base, right? So you're turning more into an ISV here a little bit. Number 5, workflow automation projects, right? These are more traditional. It's generally going to be a fixed fee to design and implement a custom solution. Client comes to you with a specific process to automate, you scope it, you deliver it for a fee. But really what I'm highlighting here is that you shouldn't turn these away just because there's no recurring revenue, because this is often your entry point. This is how you start. You can convert them to recurring models from here. Okay, and then finally, training and enablement, which I think is often overlooked, but we all know customers are going to need help adopting AI effectively. You can offer training packages, productivity coaching, workshops. This brings in that additional service revenue directly, but more importantly, it's going to increase adoption of the agent and AI solutions you've deployed, which is going to make your customers much stickier for you. Remember, the goal here is you're moving into a strategic partner type of role with your customer. And if you're building agents for them, those are going to have your domain expertise and your IP baked into them. So the more customers adopt those solutions successfully, the better it is for your customer retention and your bottom line. But the key insight with these 6 is that you have multiple levers to pull. You might do a fixed fee discovery, project-based implementation, then ongoing management on a subscription model with training layered on top. Not either or choices. They're components of an overall offering. Okay, so I wanted to sort of finish up here by just talking about some real examples from our partner base. I think it's useful to show some of the bespoke agents that our partners are building for their customers. So the first one is just a project management assistant agent, basically, right? This is going to handle some of the weekly admin burden for project managers. It's analyzing timesheets, looking for anomalies, compiling status reports, flagging resource conflicts. But the end result of this, the key result, is that the project manager is spending less time in spreadsheets and more time leading the team and the projects they're on. The next is an HR compliance agent. This one stays on top of regulatory changes, new labor laws, compliance requirements, you name it. So it's ingesting updates from government sources, translating them into plain language action items, and giving it to the HR team. When a regulation changes, instead of HR reading through dense legal text, they get a checklist of what they need to update in their handbook, their payroll system, whatever. It's cutting compliance risk, but again, more importantly, it's also freeing up HR to focus on people, not paperwork. Then finally, it's a DevOps quality assurance agent. This one is monitoring work items as developers create them. It checks that all required elements are included. It's flagging risks early, validating against best practices. It's catching issues in development instead of QA or production. Better quality, fewer surprises. Overall, this isn't to say go build these exact agents, right? It's just examples that prove that these aren't theoretical. These are being built by partners, keyword built there, not just purchased, and they're delivering measurable outcome to their customers, right? So think about this sort of things. What type of agent can you build that will just take away some of the work and free up people to do things that require actual human judgment and creativity? What are we doing on time? Because
yeah, I think we do have some time. A little bit of time to take questions. That's exciting. We were hoping for that.
yeah. Okay.
I know that right now we have a microphone here for anybody that wants to step up to that. If you're going to use your voice only, then we're going to make sure we repeat that question back to the audience. But we are welcome to answer any questions you might have about what we've covered today. Love to see it. You know, you did a good job. If there's no outstanding, oh, here we go.
What strategies have you used to get people to adopt agents that might be a little reticent?
That might be a little what? Hesitant? Generally, we think about small little wins. So you don't find something that saves them 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time, something that doesn't take over their job, their life, or anything like that. Little wins get people into it, and then as they start seeing success with that, they'll generally be more open to doing more and going with that. But some people are hesitant, right? Or they think it's just ChatGPT, right, or whatever model like that. If you can show them that it's more than that, and it's going to make their life at least just a little bit easier, that can help them adopt this more. But it does vary by person.
And to add a bit to that, when we talk about even the Copilot adoption journey, agents add ROI to Copilot chat. So being able to really hone in on at least one business outcome, like Scott had mentioned, that can really benefit the greater amount of users that are on that Copilot chat option while you're expanding, really helps them to get used to the things that are happening that really impact their day-to-day and build out that trust as you continue to bring in more agents. That's a great question. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you so much. If you want to show them where we will spend our time, you can come find us at our booth. We'll be at 6156, both the rest of today and tomorrow, and we can talk about strategy and your additional questions there. Thanks so much for joining us.
Scan that QR code.
Yes.